It's Zach Thomas versus Maurice Smith, and watch the impact. Wham!
Quick throw, picked off Urlacher, and Brian Urlacher will cruise down the sideline.
And what's going on? Witty P coming back with another one. Let's get it. We're up at the football field. Gave y'all a preview about a week ago. Told y'all I had some fire verses on the way, and that's what we have today. I told you I had Zach Thomas versus Brian Urlacher, Michael Irvin versus Chris Carter. Had it on the way, and today we have Zach Thomas versus Brian Urlacher. Yes, it's a great one. It's gonna be a great one. We're the best, linebacker in the early 2000s after Ray Lewis. Both of these guys on the Hall of Fame 2000s team. Zach Thomas, Miami Dolphins. Brian Urlacher, Chicago Bears. Yeah, this is going to be a great one. And it's round 17. I've been keeping the fire coming all summer, all off season. I've been keeping the fire coming, and we at the field, so it's only right I come with round 17 versus middle linebackers. Like I say, who's the better linebacker after Ray Lewis, in the early 2000s. And I start out with Zach Thomas. I break down these guys, their intangibles, break down, their strengths, and see who was the better, middle linebacker. Get right into it. Start with Zach Thomas out of Texas Tech, drafted 1996 NFL draft. Zach Thomas, tackling machine. Zach Thomas, he played 13 seasons, played 12 of them with Miami, played 1 with Dallas. Zach Thomas, he a beast. He's a beast. 5-time All-Pro. 7-time Pro Bowler, Zach Thomas. Like I say, he was part of that Hall of Fame 2000s team with Brian Urlacher. That's why I feel like this is a great versus. 17 interceptions. He, punched that ball out as well. Zach Thomas, tackling machine. Tackling machine. And he didn't get a Defensive Player of the Year award, but, he was, like I say, All-Pro. All-Pro. And he was a beast. 5'11", 230. Wasn't the biggest guy, but he played with a lot of heart. He played with passion. And he played fast. He played fast. Zach Thomas. Like I say, he was a tackling machine. And, a little breakdown of Zach Thomas. Then you had Brian Urlacher out of New Mexico. Came in the 2000 draft. First round, 9th overall, Brian Urlacher. Big guy, Brian Urlacher. Played safety in college. 6'4", 260. Yeah, Urlacher was a huge guy. Urlacher, he was great in coverage. He was great in coverage, had 22 interceptions, as a middle linebacker, ball hawk, as a linebacker. He could, guard the tight ends, guard, running backs out the backfield. Urlacher, very versatile. He could play the run as well. Like I say, he played 13 seasons, and he played them all with Chicago. Brian Urlacher, he played all the seasons with Chicago. 4-time All-Pro. I want to say he's 8-time Pro Bowler. Brian Urlacher, 4-time All-Pro, and he's 2005 Defensive Player of the Year. Brian Urlacher, he got that Defensive Player of the Year under his belt. 2000 Rookie of the Year on, Defensive Rookie of the Year. Brian Urlacher. So, breakdown of Brian Urlacher, throughout his career, and get into some of the intangibles. Yes. I start with do tackling, IQ, coverage ability, at linebacker. And I'll just start with IQ. Woo, this is tough. I feel like this is a wash in my opinion because both of these guys were smart. They can dissect plays. They fast to the ball. Urlacher did play a little more in coverage, so he probably had, IQ was a tad bit higher, but Zach Thomas, he could dissect plays a little faster. As far as playing the run, Zach Thomas, he could dissect plays like, fast, Zach Thomas. But Urlacher, he had to, drop in coverage. He played in coverage a lot. And both of these guys, I want to mention that they play with another great outside linebacker. Urlacher played with Lance Briggs, and Zach Thomas played with Junior Seau. Junior Seau was a little past his prime, but he was still a good player. Junior Seau. He played with Jason Taylor as well on that D-line. But yeah, I feel like it's a wash with the IQ. It is. They both smart players. They can dissect plays. Urlacher a little smarter in coverage, but Zach Thomas, he's smart as far as, you know, dissecting the run, you know, reading and reacting. He right to it. Now, we talk about coverage. Go coverage. I got to give this to Brian Urlacher. Zach Thomas, you'd be surprised. I have 4 defensive touchdowns. Got some picks, you know, 17 interceptions as well as a linebacker. But Urlacher, 22 picks. He would drop down in the middle of the field, Urlacher. You know, play safety at some plays. You know, be a middle field safety at some plays. Urlacher. He could guard tight ends, running backs. You know, Urlacher. He didn't drop interceptions. He catch that ball, Urlacher, he going. He had 2 defensive touchdowns. But I give the edge to Brian Urlacher in coverage. Tackling. Whew. This is tough as well. Zach Thomas was a tackling machine. He was. And Urlacher, he was a tackling machine as well. You know, 6'4", 260. He didn't have to do much to get you on the ground. Urlacher, huge guy. Zach Thomas, he just fast, man. Always around the ball. Just what you call a football player, Zach Thomas, just always around the ball, can dissect plays, just born to play football. So tackling, whew, I call it a wash. Because Urlacher, he'll blow up your center, Urlacher, and get in the backfield. Urlacher, he'll blow up your center and get to your quarterback. He played with bad intentions, Urlacher. Zach Thomas, like I say, he was just a football player. Both of these guys were very instinctive, is what you want to call it. You know, very instinctive, especially Zach Thomas. Like, probably after Ray Lewis, I think Zach Thomas was best at playing the run. You know, Urlacher was just balanced. Like, he could play the run and the pass equally as well. You know, but for a linebacker, you want to be able to play the run better. But Urlacher could do that just as good. You know, so versatile. But Zach Thomas was at the top when it comes to playing the run. So, tackling, I call it a wash. You know, I call this versus, it's a wash. 2 Hall of Fame guys, you know. I give the IQ edge. It was a wash. They both smart players, instinctive, can dissect plays, coverage ability. I give it to Urlacher. Tackling ability, I probably get a slight edge to Zach Thomas. I probably would. He's just a tackling machine. He is. So I call this probably a wash because Zach Thomas and Urlacher, they both have the IQ. Zach Thomas probably had a slight edge as far as playing the run because after Ray Lewis, he's probably the best middle linebacker playing the run. I got to be real. But Urlacher, probably the best coverage linebacker of the 2000s until Luke Kuechly came along with the Panthers. You know, if we want to talk about, you know, middle linebackers that can cover really well, cover tight ends and running backs, shit like that, Urlacher at the top. So call this a wash. Call this versus a wash, yes. Zach Thomas get the tackling edge, Urlacher get the coverage edge, and it's a wash as far as the IQ. 2 smart players, you know, instinctive players, and it's tough, but 2 Hall of Fame guys, Hall of Fame 2000s guys on the Hall of Fame 2000s team as well. Zach Thomas just got inducted to the Hall of Fame in 2023, so yeah, keep the fire coming. Let me know what y'all think. Who y'all got in this one? Zach Thomas versus Brian Urlacher. Both of these guys played 13 seasons, and I feel like this was a great versus, so let me know what y'all think. Keep the ball talk coming at the field. I love it. That's what I do. Comment, like, subscribe. That's where you can help us share the video. If you're entertaining, hit that cash app, baby. I love it. I ain't fumbling the rock. We out.